Joining us now is Gadi Adelman. He is a counterterrorism expert and advisor. Gadi, thanks for being with us. And Gadi, we have Hamas acknowledging that 50 of the 62 Palestinians reported killed during a Gaza border raids this week were in fact members of the terrorist group. Now, Israel has been criticized for using excessive force, but does the fact that the majority killed a terrorist bolster Israel's argument that this is a move in self-defense? Does this change the international perception of Israel's response?
Good evening, Michelle. I don't think that, they could have said all 62 of those that died were Hamas members, and I don't think that's going to change, unfortunately, the way the international community looks at Israel each and every time we have one of these incidents. That's not something that's going to change, because you're still going to have people out there. NBC News calling Benjamin Netanyahu's comments that the fact that these Hamas members were paid to be there, conspiracy theories. They're basically calling Benjamin Netanyahu a liar. This is what we have coming from the mainstream media, and unfortunately, I don't think it really matters if every one of them were found to be a Hamas member.
Well, Gadi, here's what's curious. Hamas has been using these riots as a way to garner international support and attention. So why would Hamas acknowledge that those killed were fighters? What's the thinking? Is it to promote the idea of martyrdom? What's behind Hamas's move here?
Well, yes, and you just hit the nail on the head, because when he came out and said that, he actually used the word martyr. He didn't say 50 of those that were killed were Hamas members. He said we had 62 martyrs today, 50 of which were Hamas members. So that's exactly what that is, because the people on the ground in Gaza know how many have died, and they know what is going on. And in order for them to be more willing to continue this type of fight along the fence, they have to adhere to, and bolster their own people. And that's exactly what you see happening.
Well, Gadi, Hamas has been instructing the protesters to carry knives and guns and weapons. Hamas posted pictures and maps on social media showing the shortest routes from the border fence to the nearest Israeli community. So what is the goal? Should a Hamas or a Palestinian protester get over the fence? What do you expect them to do?
Oh, I think we know exactly what they would do. There's no doubt in anyone's mind, anyone who is aware of what a Hamas member would be willing to do. We've seen it before. Just think of any act of terrorism in any civilian situation. Look at what happened to the Fogel family in their own home. This is what you will see in mass if any of these individuals make it across the border.
Gadi, they say that this is a peaceful protest, that these are Palestinians just trying to bring attention to their cause. What do you say to that?
The other day there were no less than 11 IEDs, improvised explosive devices, used against the fence and Israeli soldiers. There was gunfire against the Israeli soldiers. There was, I believe, 17 kite bombs setting 23 different fires inside Israel, as well as those, as you've seen the video, with meat cleavers. Far from being a peaceful protest. And I want to quote real quick, the Hamas prime minister actually stated, "We will tear down the border and we will tear out their hearts from their bodies." This is not a peaceful protest.
Gadi, still, it doesn't look good for Israel when it uses live ammunition. Is there an alternative way to prevent Hamas from crossing over the fence? Can the Israelis use something else? How does Israel strike the balance between protecting the borders and its people and not giving Hamas this PR victory, if you will?
Well, they're using drones now with a new thing that they're dropping called Chocolate, which is a nickname for it. But it's a horrible, horrible stench. When the bags hit the ground and they explode, it makes a horrible stench. They've tried using rubber bullets. The problem is they do everything up to a certain point until they have no other alternative left. And there is not a country in the world, in my own opinion, and as well as Nikki Haley, I believe she stated it at the UN Security Council, no other country in the world that would have shown as much restraint. You had 50,000 people on that border trying to tear through the fence to get inside Israel, and only 62. Yes, it's horrible that 62 were killed, but only 62 out of 50,000. I would say that Israel showed a lot of restraint.
All right, Gadi, thank you so much. Gadi Adelman there.